And I agree. I mean, it's frustrating as an artist when there's so many top artists that enter it. And if you're a beginner or somebody that's not as advanced, I mean, it's frustrating to spend so much time on something and then it gets thrown out within the first round, you know. So the entries have just kind of been slowly declining, and it's been focusing more on the top artists.
How do you submit?
You just mail it in with a entry fee check, $125, and then they have a public contest every year in September. So that's coming up not this weekend, but the next. So
that's it.
Yep.
And then explain how the process of selecting a winner goes. So when you submit it, how big you submit the original?
That's the original size. So it's a 7 by 10 inch painting.
Is that
really?
Like the rule?
That's a lot smaller than I would have thought.
And I think logistically, I mean, they deal with 200 entries.
Yeah.
It's a traveling judging every year.
Mm-hmm.
You know, 2 people run this whole thing, and they have to handle all of these entries.
But they run it for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service.
Yeah, so they're employees. Yeah. And then they pick 5 different judges every year.
Okay.
And they don't reveal who those are until, I don't know, maybe a day or 2 before.
Are those judges usually past winners?
No. So they're either like it could be somebody in an art profession, an ornithologist, somebody that works at DU, somebody that maybe is a former refuge manager. So it's always kind of like you never know who it's going to be, but they're either bird experts, biology, art experts, things like that.
Okay.
And they choose 5 judges, and then they have the first round, which is in or out. So they go through all the entries.
So they take all those 200 paintings and lay them up in front of the judges.
They walk one by one, and then
they either say yes or no.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. And then
do they have a set number, or is it just like that is the initial? If there's 100 people that they like, the 100 are in. If there's 5 they like, 5 are in.
Yeah. So that's the first round.
Okay.
So each judge, which is they're isolated from each other. They hold up an I or an O, and if you've got 3 out of 5 ins, then you're into the second round. And then the second round.
I'm sorry. I just want to make sure I'm understanding.
Yeah.
This. They're not communicating.
No.
So they're not influenced by.
Right.
Understood.
Right.
And so they isolate the 5 judges, and then each 5 judges is shown 200, and they're allowed any number of in and out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And so you just never really know. It's just the individual opinion of each judge. And so when you make it to the second round, then they score 1 through 5 scorecards. And how
many people make it to that round?
It varies. I want to say usually no more than 50, probably.
Okay.
Wow.
So they narrow it down quite a bit, and then I think you need to score a 15 or 16 or higher in the second round, and then that gets you into the final round. And then in the final round, they can score 3, 4, or 5. And then top score wins. If they have a tiebreaker, they do a tiebreaker. And then that's how they narrow it down to the top 3.
Then what happens?
That's it. Then they announce the winner.
Well, you just said top 3.
Well, yeah. They always separate a 1, 2, and 3.
I see.
And
First place, second place, third place.
and then there's like many people that might be tied for 4th and 5th and 6th and so on. But yeah,
that comes out with a gold medal.
Yeah, they want like 3 distinct top entries.
What are the parameters? What are the parameters of a duck stamp? Like like
the entry requirements.
Yeah, here's a pun. What flies and what doesn't fly?
Well, you can't have writing, so it has to be. And you have to have a duck that's alive. I think
it doesn't have to be a duck. The tundra swans.
They pick 5 species each year, and they rotate that. So what's coming like 3 years ahead of time. They announce like what each year will be, and so you get 5 choices, and they try to rotate through all the birds. And I think the last one, which I think is eligible this year, that's never made on a duck stamp, is the cackling goose. But yeah, so it's any migratory waterfowl or birds.
But they narrow it.
Sorry, keep going.
When you do it. So for the 2024 duck stamp, they said, here's the 5 birds you can paint.
Yes.
And what were they?
Now I'm gonna forget. It was I want to say it was the black duck, the pintail, bluebill. I'm forgetting now. But I knew, that I had to do the pintail when I saw that was coming up a couple of years in advance. I was like, that's my year to enter. So